Hey, greetings, backdroppers. It's January 1st, or January 17th, 2019, and this is the weekly design and usability check-in meeting. It looks like today Jen is doing some traveling. Lots of people are busy after two releases of Backdrop in the same week. So I might be just going through all of these things by myself today, but that's quite all right. We've got lots of things that have been going on, actually. Let's see, we'll start off with backdropcms.org, the flagship website, and some UX and design issues there. We have one long-standing issue regarding the modules page, or the finding of modules, themes, and layouts. The search pages for those is issue 442 in the backdropcms.org issue queue. And that's something where we have some designs that have long existed to improve the finding of projects on backdropcms.org that could be implemented. There's no status updates there recently. Again, just mostly depending on front-end work to make that happen. It was suggested by St. Paul Tim to possibly start working on this as part of a virtual sprint. He's filed an issue 494, suggesting that we take a 10-day period of time and do some work on fixing up backdropcms.org and the forum website, which is a pretty great idea. Just getting together, facilitating people that want to help work on backdropcms.org. And so he's suggesting that we do that February 1st through 10th, which there hasn't been any responses yet. He just filed this recently. So potentially we might see some traction on improving backdropcms.org, and in particular, this particular issue at that time. Let's see. We're also moving forward on getting sandbox demos set up a little bit further. We have a little bit of work on that. I'll actually show you guys kind of what the status of that is. Let me pull up the issue as well. It is issue 422 is adding demo functionality to backdropcms.org from the homepage, instead of the spin up on Pantheon button, instead having a demo that was like not tied to any particular vendor and doesn't require a permanent sign up of an account or anything like that. So I'll show you guys that real quick. So here's our agenda for today, and issue 422 is creating a backdrop demo site. There's a little screen cast here showing the demo as it exists right now, but I'll actually do this. This is a local copy of backdropcms.org that's tied into the provider Tugboat QA. And so we've set up over here on Tugboat QA a backdrop CMS repository. And when I try a demo here on the homepage, right now I've taken us to a new page that this is actually a form that has a button in it to prevent bots from coming in here. There's no styling present yet, so this is definitely an area in which we could use some assistance, or possibly some UX ideas about how we should present the form to create a sandbox. We could potentially also put a video that plays like when you hit create demo, as well as collecting things like email address. We could use this as an opportunity to like sign somebody up for the MailChimp sign up newsletter, which is actually down here, at the same time as they create a demo. But the basic functionality right now is just create demo. So you click, and then via Ajax, it processes the form. This does take a minute, as it says there. Oh, while it's doing that, I could show you it's being built over here on the Tugboat side. Okay, there it goes. And so it finished over here on backdropcms.org, and it says, here's your new site. How long it will last for. Right now, this isn't actually set up, but it is that we'd use cron job to go through and remove old sandbox sites after a certain period of time. And we can go visit the site. And yeah, it's this unfortunately really catastrophic URL at tugboat.qa. I don't think there's anything we can do about that. And then from here on out, it's just a standard installation of Backdrop that is completely fresh. Like if I were to finish this, it doesn't have any kind of special things or no special profile or sample content or anything. It's literally just an install of Backdrop out of the box. Yeah, maybe we could improve some of these things. So this is powered by a separate repository, so we could potentially create a custom profile that has different content in it, or sets the default title or any other kind of thing. So that's an area in which we could iterate on potentially. But if we have any more feedback as to how this whole thing works, you can go over here to backdropcms.org, issue 422. Right now, this is all still in development. There is a pull request that has the full functionality in it, but it takes some work to set it up locally. So yeah, just providing feedback based on this video would be very helpful. Okay, let's see. Let's also, I'll just continue screencasting here for the next little bit while we go over some issues for Backdrop, the product, things that we're working on improving right now, or things that have gotten into 1.12. So first one is issue 800 or 1841. Admin bar icons got added just under the wire, and actually in this new sandbox that I just spun up, which is the latest version of Backdrop from the 1.x branch. You can see up here at the top that we now have these little icons underneath the admin bar, which is just a great little improvement that happened kind of at the last minute. Also looks and works great on the mobile version of the site as well. Except I'm having trouble screen sharing this at the moment. There we go. So yeah, it just looks really fantastic. I was really pleased to see these icons come together and get in on such a short notice. Let's see, issue 495 is Dashboard. Dashboard had a real strong push here just before 1.12 was released, but is not quite ready yet. I'm going to go over here to the sandbox of Dashboard and show you guys what that looks like here as well. Let's see, so if I go down to the sandbox, sorry, it took me a second to find out where the sandbox actually was. We'll go here. Oh, I'm actually already signed into this sandbox. Dashboard actually hasn't been updated to deal with the icons yet, so you can see Dashboard is added up here to the admin menu, but it does not have an icon quite yet. And so this is the dashboard as it stands right now. Yeah, definitely an area in which you could use I don't know, a little bit of additional thought. It's kind of like a fire hose of information right now with no real design aspect to it. But this is just a normal layout that just has some blocks positioned on it. So Dashboard, when you install it out of the box, it just uses one of the existing layouts for the 50-50 split and then places a bunch of blocks that it ships with to provide some basic dashboard-like functionality. I think it's a great idea. The blocks that it comes with are also really pretty useful. But I'm feeling like this could definitely use some design to it. I'm not sure if that needs to be a blocker or not, but this is the current status of it. Definitely just like, bare bones information kind of presented right in front of you. It's mostly, almost entirely actually, a port of the total control module from 777. So Still, it's coming along. There's a good chance that this would be in 1.13. So that issue definitely could use some additional feedback. It's issue 495 in the backdrop queue. Let's see. Save draft in core is issue 3157. This is a really simple proposition. Actually, it's not actually about like saving temporary entity objects or anything like that. It's really just a simple suggestion that we change the buttons, change the submit button on the form as you change the action. Like if you click schedule for later, it should change the submit button to schedule publication or schedule for later. And if you have it checked as unpublished, it should have the button label be save as draft. So really simple in concept, maybe not so simple to implement, that just as you make changes to the form, the submit button just updates its label to reflect the action that you're going to take. So no code behind that one yet, at least not in a pull request state. This is just the save draft module. So there's a contrib module that already does this, that we can pull all of the relevant code from to convert it into something suitable for core. Let's see, promoted modules from the installer. This is just an idea that we would make it so that as you use the installer module to browse and find projects, we might like call out a little highlight on particular projects saying that they are, like supported by a security team or possibly going to be moved into core, things of that nature that we could potentially flag them as being special in some way. This is all just conceptual. There isn't any code behind it yet. Let's see. Old passwords required conditionally. It's a funny name on an issue, but 3389. This is about the My Account page, that when you change your password or email address, you have to populate your current password in order to change either of those two fields. And this pattern has been present in Drupal for a long time, and it's something that you don't really see outside of it. So our hope is that we could somehow get rid of this new password field and show it only conditionally if it were actually required to enter your current password. And so there have been some suggestions here, like as you start changing your email address or as you start changing or typing in a new password, that the current password field appears. That's caused some confusion just because having new fields appear as you're working on some other field is not a common pattern. And so it was suggested, well, what if we made a little checkbox that said change the current password? But that also has other issues, that it happens when you change your email address as well. So that's also just a bit strange. Some other suggestions here that we could potentially do, move the sensitive information like changing your email address or password to an entirely different page, or pop up a dialog that asks for a password, or submit the form without asking for the password, and if the password is necessary, ask for the password afterwards before making the subsequent changes. Let's see, or just make it so you can't even access the edit page, edit profile page, until you enter in your current password, and then show the edit form as we have it today. So some of those options, they're a little drastic, but they are options, for us to look into for consideration. Let's see, design-related issues for this, or for Backdrop itself. We've got issue 3209, adding predefined color schemes to basis. It's pretty much good to go. We could use some more review on that, but it's kind of been languishing without any feedback, even though it has a pull request and it has predefined color schemes. We basically just want to feel confident that the choices that we've made are good ones. But really, this is pretty much good to go. We're just kind of looking for final confirmation. Removing tabs on the login, register, and password reset pages is issue 3309. The suggestion here is that on the registration pages, we currently have these tabs here for login and reset password. And the suggestion is that we just remove the tabs and instead make a link in the form that says reset password. There's two ways we could go about this. We could put it into Basis exclusively, in which case it would only affect the out-of-box theme, or we could actually restructure the menu to make it so that the reset password becomes a menu callback instead of a default, or instead of a local task, which turns it into a tab like this. The latter approach has pretty far-reaching consequences, though. It will affect pretty much every site's login form if we change the menu types, which there's some argument to be made for that would be a good thing, but there's also, the potential for breaking sites is pretty high there. So there's discussion going back and forth about how to implement that, and also like if it is something that should be implemented, or if there's any ways that could be improved. Issue 2873. There aren't any updates on this issue regarding the installer appearance when you're on mobile. So Backdrop, when you install it on mobile, actually does work well up until the point if there's any errors, then it prints this large table of problems at you, even if you're on a mobile device, and it doesn't look good. So there aren't any updates here, so I'm not going to recap it. A relatively new issue, kind of similar to the installer, is the maintenance page. That the maintenance page in Basis doesn't look good. It's completely unstyled. So here's a screenshot of how it shows up right now. I mean, there's just no margins, no centering, nothing. And so there's nothing behind this yet, and no suggestions as to how we could improve it. It's just like clear that even if we did something really simple, like what Bartik does, where it just centers it and puts a gray outline around it, it would be an improvement over the current maintenance page shown in Basis, which doesn't have any kind of styling at all. That's it, I think, for issues that we have to discuss. There's also a print-related task that we would love it if we could create a pop-up banner for events. Like possibly we could bring it along to things like the birthday party that we had this week, or probably more likely to trainings that we do in person, or major events like the Bad Camp Backdrop CMS Summit that we do every year. So that's kind of just a wish list item. If the design is created, we have the funding for it, so we can make it happen. But any print designers out there, or anybody looking to possibly create a design for that, we would love to get in touch with you.